there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them, if they need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet, Pop Culture Justice. I'm Andy Signore. I'm so glad to be back here in studio. I want to thank Steph, Kim, Lewis, everybody for coming in while I was gone and holding down the fort. They did an amazing job, but I'm so glad to be back with you guys. I got to offline. I got to recharge. I come back to see all the media is defending Amber again. What is happening? Why am I not surprised? Oh God, I'm re-energized and I'm ready to keep this battle going because what I've been seeing is insane, guys. It is literally insane. Some of the common players we've already called out in the station on this have already been just saying more insaneness. And I'm so happy because today we'll be breaking it down with it. Kim is back, as well as our special guest today, Andrea Burkhardt. Now, Andrea, I know you got a few minutes before you got to duck out and then you'll come back. But welcome to the show for a few minutes first. So happy to have you both. Kim, thank you again for your help this week. How was it without me?
I thought Steph did amazing. I was so proud of her. I thought she did so good, and I know a lot of people really enjoyed the shows. We had so much fun. I think it went really well, and thanks for letting us hold it down for you. Of
course, thanks for helping. Well, I'm happy you're here, but I'm also very happy Andrea's here. Now, Andrea, you did something great with us. We teamed up to put out, and the fans rallied together. We funded this unsealment of the documents, which now you've put up on your website and people can access. And I'm all for everybody having access to this. What's really interesting, and I want to get your take on things before you do have to dip out and come back. But what's really interesting is the media has now tried to spin it as if a gotcha, oh man, the Johnny Depp fans really got because and I'm gonna call out my old friend Cat 10 Barge, who I know you're a huge fan of as well, from NBC News, the journalist who I use now in quotations. Johnny Depp defenders crowdsourcing thousands to pay to unseal new pages and texts that support Amber's case and outing a bunch of Marilyn Manson texts that support Evan Rachel Wood's case in the process. Sometimes fate has a sense of humor. As I said in our video today with Laura, who I know is also instrumental in trying to help get all this down, but I'm just so irritated why she's even connecting this to Marilyn Manson, just like all the media is. They're trying to make these cases be the same. They're not. They're their own cases that I know you're breaking down as well, and there are some similarities. And I'm as I've said, I'm taking Evan Rachel Wood. I'm not picking a side. I'm just going to let the facts come out until I make my decision. But how frustrating is it for you, who's now trying to get the truth out there, the facts, to see media like this now trying to get us they got us because there were Johnny Depp things which we knew about. Oh, and now it helped Marilyn Manson, and we're all going to be pissed. What is your reaction when you see this kind of reply?
Well, Andy, I mean, this is just really par for the course when it's come to the media coverage of this case in particular. I see it as an opportunity for these quote unquote journalists to reveal themselves for who they really are, because what we have seen consistently is that their focus is not and never has been the story. These folks don't go and review the evidence or check the facts themselves. Instead, they report on the coverage. It's a little circle where everybody talks about their friends and each other, and nobody bothers to do the hard work of actually reviewing the court documents themselves and coming to an independent evaluation. So all of that is just really laid bare in the type of just wildly misleading and cherry-picked and inaccurate information that many of these outlets have chosen to jump upon in the last couple of days, while of course overlooking the overwhelming majority of evidence that was in the unsealed files that continues to be favorable to Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it's really weird, and a lot of them are getting really gross. I mean, they're trying to accuse us of being gross. So who cares if she was a stripper, and why would you reveal that? Meanwhile, they're putting out these things of erectile dysfunction and medication that Johnny took that's none of my damn business. They want to protect, they play victim to oh, you guys are harassing Amber, and how dare you cross those lines? And then they immediately do it right against Johnny whenever they have the opportunity.
And the story that they're not telling, of course, is the story of the tactics, because the question has to become, who is it who is trying to elicit this information in court anyway, and for what purpose? And so what they're not telling you is that these are Team Amber Heard tactics.
Right.
It was Amber Heard that's trying to get this stuff into trial. Amber Heard, who's accusing Johnny Depp of proffering evidence about her stripper past and rumors of her being an escort and things along those lines that he never proffered. It's not on his evidence list, which he filed more than a week before she ever filed these motions in limine. So when it comes to who is trying to dirty up this trial, these unsealed documents paint a very, very clear picture, and it is 100% not Team Depp.
Yeah, well said, because it was Amber's team that Elaine was trying to keep all of that out. She was making those requests, and Johnny wasn't putting that in. And just another one I to call out, sort of, we're going through a lot of this, but let me know when you need to dip out, and you'll come back, because I know you have a phone call you had to do. But the one I'm calling out also is the Daily Beast here, written by Marlo Stern, who already had to update his article with corrections multiple times, it seems, because he got a lot of stuff inaccurate. But his whole angle of the 6,000 docs, they're all salaciously focusing on her, Depp would use her in pics and exclusion of Marilyn Manson and all this nonsense. And yes, we'll go through the text, because even those Marilyn Manson texts, which I'm just confused how they're relevant. Like, as I went through them, Andrea and Kim, as I'll bring you back in, it's like he barely even responds to Marilyn. No. It's like a little point of like Marilyn's talking to no one. Like, hey, you there, brother? You there, brother? I almost felt bad for Marilyn in a way. It's like, dude, he's not texting you back. Maybe, chill back on the responses. It's like this weird, like, gotcha. That's not a gotcha in any way, shape, or form. And then there's one portion I saw a lot of people are taking out of context, and we'll go through them, guys, where I got a new girl here, and then he's like 18 and blah, 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 blah. But in the context of what the actual conversation is, he's referring to what song to play at the show, which is a song called 18. And I'll admit, if I saw that out of context, it's a very unfortunate back and forth of lines, but again, that's why the whole story matters, and these people don't care about the whole story. They want to cherry pick. They want to put these threads out with, see, look at Johnny, and they don't ever want to have a conversation. For the record, I invited Marlo on this show, just like Kat, just like everybody I invite. Nobody wants to have a conversation. Nobody wants to feel the fire of someone pushing back, because they can't stand up on their own. They can only do it in their little silo on Twitter, and no one wants to actually have the conversation. And what's so frustrating is when you get people like this. Here's Marlo, 3 of the top Twitter trolls who do Depp's camp's bidding, so be wary of whatever they post. Like, what a joke. Like, Laura has been following this trial like no one else. Brian Fella, a Tug, same thing. And for him to like try to discredit them when he himself can't even get the article information right and clearly hasn't even read the documents, it must frustrate you, Andrea.
And such a fundamental errors that he made in the course of this coverage that are just elementary. Claiming that Johnny Depp had been able to successfully exclude Ellen Barkin and Dr. Hughes and Dr. Spiegel, whom those of us who actually watched the trial, of course, had the privilege of seeing them testify live, completely undermining not only the credibility of his claims and frankly, from my perspective, then his article as a whole, but it makes it so clear that this is another example of these journalists who are coming on very late in the game, can't be bothered to do the work themselves. They accuse others of somehow capitalizing on the coverage of this trial, and it's they tell on themselves every single time when they reveal their own just fundamental ignorance about this topic that they're trying to cover.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking, but you made a point of just like someone like Kat, who's saying like, I try to look at all the sides. She's only sharing the Amber bias sides. Like, and what's so frustrating is like, I don't understand how, like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I deal with someone like her, because she doesn't care about transparency or facts. She's stuck on the Amber side. Now she's claiming I'm stuck on the Johnny side. Okay, fine, I'll accept that for a second. But then we would cancel each other out, and then neither of us should be talking, right? The fact that she's claiming to be better and call us out is really bizarre to me. Like, I'd love to have a conversation with her. I feel like it'd actually be a very interesting conversation for an Amber supporter to talk to a Johnny supporter, and let's figure out what are we missing? Let's have that dialogue. But to me, anybody who's afraid of that dialogue is dangerous, just because they're set in their way. They only want to share their YouTubers, their links, their people. And I'm going to go through one of the people that she constantly suggests, this Cocaine Cross, which is just like sickening. I still have it here somewhere, but it's a sickening thread of like just sort of it's just ridiculous allegations and some stuff about Johnny that's not ideal, but we've never, been hidden from anybody. That's what's so irritating to me. But all these things that we're going to go through today and break down, they don't want to mention any of them. I know you got to go, but just was there one big takeaway from you from the leaks that sort of surprised you the most? We had several that I talked to with Laura already, but is there one you can think of offhand that you're like, man, this really reiterates a lot of what we already were saying?
Well, I think one of the things that I particularly enjoyed that was a bit of new information was what we learned that the forensic pathologist would have testified to, because we didn't ultimately get to see that evidence at trial. But Johnny Depp had retained an expert who was prepared to testify about the types of injuries that would be expected in light of the types of accusations that Amber Heard had made. What, if anything, her photographs actually depicted relative to those types of reports. And of course, the corroboration of what anybody with, functioning eyes saw very early on with respect to that TMZ photograph of the bruise. And it is, in fact, a photograph of acne, according to a medical pathologist. So just confirmation, again, of things that I think are fairly common sense to thinking people, but fascinating to see that just from an expert breaking it down. This was one of the main ones we talked about earlier, which I highly implore you share and spread out of our 5 sort of things that Laura and I broke down. But I still can't believe they unsealed the Nichols is from the UK judges sort of things here, talking about the fact that during the SA accusation, which apparently this isn't allowed to be brought in the UK. We can't talk about this in the UK, that's from what I've gathered. But, it's here, it's now out, it's unsealed. And what was really unreal about this was that the judge didn't believe Amber in the Hicksville cavity search. And basically says as much, that I conclude, I have not shown that this happened, that Miss Sexton, the acting coach who was the witness, just basically says, like, I don't believe it. This doesn't make sense. It didn't happen. The witness didn't say it. Therefore, he found that, Amber, it didn't happen. So therefore, a credibility issue, right, Andrea? Like, this is someone I don't believe. This is something there. And then fast forward, but the Australia incident, where because the acting coach, Miss Sexton, says, well, her voice was choppy and she was crying on chopped sentences. So therefore, she had no reason to believe these allegations to be false. So therefore, yes, Johnny admitted that the date was wrong, which is a huge thing. Johnny's team's like, well, it couldn't happen because I wasn't there that date. Well, sure, okay, fine, the date's fine, but a witness saw her talking choppy and crying, so therefore, that error of the date doesn't matter. I don't disbelieve the account. So, like, this is clear-cut bias, like, issues. To me, I'm curious from you legally, like, how do you make sense of this, of a judge saying a credibility issue on one and acknowledging, well, this clearly couldn't happen, so therefore, okay, then you're lying. Oh, but this one, the witnesses saw you cry, so you got the date wrong, but I'll still believe it. Can you make any sense of this? Well, no, I mean, making sense of Judge Nichols's reasoning is a fool's errand. What I find particularly ironic about this particular new information that's come out is how he, on the one hand, rejects Hicksville because he says Amber had reported that she didn't understand at the time that this would be considered rape. That's why she didn't report it. And that he found that to be not believable. But this was the same justification she had used for Australia for why she didn't disclose it. And yet, apparently, in that instance, it's not enough to create a credibility issue. So, to me, since this judgment came out, it's been clearly an exercise in justifying the outcome that the court from my perspective, very evidently wanted to reach. But yes, the details of how that reasoning is fleshed out to reach that outcome is, it would be humorous if it were not so serious. I got to step out now, Andy, but I'll do my best to get back.
Yes, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. We'll have you back. Check out Andrew. I'll plug you as you go, but take the call and we'll have you back when you can. Thank you always for being here. Appreciate your insight. But Kim, I'll go down to you. Thank you for waiting there because I knew she had a short little window. But like, this is insane to me. Like, when you have the press out there taking on, well, he had erectile dysfunction, well, so that's why he did it, and all this nonsense that's coming out. Like, it's really irritating me because how do you look at something like this and then put your whole basis on why you believe her on a judge that found her credible on one and not the other? Like, and then to say, well, yeah, she wasn't believable. If you don't find her believable on that, then you're admitting she's lying about it, right? And so then you're saying, well, I have no reason why this witness would have made it up, blah, 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 because Amber said it. Like, because she's lied. And if she's lied in the previous one, why wouldn't you think it now? Oh, she also lied about giving to charity, which he admitted wouldn't come into the appeal. Well, he said, well, I don't see someone who donates that much to charity being a gold digger. It was in the UK verdict as to why he decided it, right? And then during the appeal, they were like, well, we proved she didn't pay it. And the judge is like, whatever. Like, this UK judge and this verdict is insane. And when you see it, does it frustrate you just as much, Kim?
Incredibly frustrating. I think just the whole thing of being like, I don't believe this allegation is true. I don't believe this allegation of SA is true. And then the next one, I have no reason to believe that she would lie about an SA. Therefore, I believe this one is true. That doesn't make any sense. The hypocrisy of it is striking, and I'm so. Am I still muted? Everybody's screaming that I'm muted.
I hear you.
Okay, all right. No, it's so ridiculous, and looking at all the reporting on this case is just insane. What I've seen over the past few days, the things that they've chosen to focus on, the things that they've chosen to run with as headlines, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, what was it like for you coming back and seeing all this and being like, what just happened?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And honestly, I don't want to keep giving these people attention because there's so much we could go through her whole headline here. I'm just like, again, leave these people alone. I know some of you don't, and I don't because they keep trying to play victim now. Like, I'm apparently harassing this journalist who is publicly sharing her takes on Twitter. She's a journalist who's verified on Twitter, who is putting stuff out that's inaccurate and unfair, and she's labeling people like me something incorrectly. By responding to her, I'm harassing her. And that makes me so frustrated, and it just shows the tactics that they'll rely on to avoid conversation and actually, the facts. And this isn't about calling her out or harassing her. This is about the truth. And it's like, look, you can have your belief all day long. You could do whatever you want, Kat, but you're putting out bullshit. This is complete bullshit. And you are instigating a culture war because you're a culture reporter. And I guess tech culture, what better way to make sure that you have a name for yourself than creating an online culture war about something that has nothing to do with it? Like, just because, okay, you believe this woman, you're frustrated. Okay, what can I do, Kim, right? It's out of my hands. There are people that believe Amber. To me, that's frustrating because I don't think they did the homework as much as they claim they did. Because if you did, you'd see all of these lies. You'd see all these inconsistencies. You'd see the credibility issues. And you may not want to, like, be out there defending Johnny, fine. But then just tap out. And don't put yourself in a conversation that you're not educated on. Because you're defending someone who, to me, is doing worse by elongating this. Because if Kat and Chris Boozy and Marlo, and Eve, if they'd all just shut up, this story would be done. Like, we would be moving on, and there wouldn't be much to talk about. But we're all going to get frustrated when this just complete ignorance and trolling from journalists, like mainstream journalists that I think are clearly out there just to get us to give them attention and hate clicks so they can stay relevant because they don't know what they're talking about. And his article is just complete joke. And they don't want to have a conversation about it. Like, I'm not going to come here and just yell at the guy if he were to come on. I'd want to ask questions like, all right, so you do know this is false, and why do you say it this way? And am I missing something? Like, it would be really great to have this conversation of why are you showing such bias in one way or the other? Why didn't you report on this? And what's your choice there? I'd love to have that conversation, right? But none of them want to have it because they can't have that conversation, Kim. They'll just fall through the ground because they got no leg to stand on. I want to go through the other side's arguments. Because I feel like everyone says, oh, you guys don't want to address it. And the biggest person who's doing that right now, to much support, let's be honest. I don't know how much this is real, to be honest, but seemingly a lot of support. And what's so frustrating is about, the spam and the bots, which we know Bot Sentinel and others have access to and can do. It's so hard to tell how accurate these are. But if we're being honest and we're going through all the stuff, okay, here's the most damning stuff that was unsealed about Johnny. I'm not afraid of any of it. I will go through it all. We could talk about it because I think it's sort of important that we do show all sides, right, Kim? And so while we go back and focus on the stuff, I want to see what you see Amber's side focusing on to a lot of attention. And I think it's imperative that we try to discredit some of this stuff so that and tell the truth to it or explain why, we knew this and this isn't great, but how does this prove he did that? You know what I mean? Is really what it's about. So first thing they focus on, I don't even really want to get into it because it's none of my damn business. And now the judge, and this is disgusting to me, they're trying to basically say Mr. Depp's ED, the dysfunction, is relevant to the use of the bottle, explaining his mindset and anger. Like, what?
No.
They're just completely guessing that, like, well, he had ED, so we're going to put that out there. And makes it more probable that he would be angry or agitated in encounters with Amber. And that he would resort to a bottle. Like, based on what? What is this? Oh, well, we just guessed it, so we're going to say he has this. So that's why, Kim. Well, that's clearly why it justifies it. And then you got it, they're literally putting it in a thread as if this is factual. Talk about...
Objection, hearsay.
Yeah, no, and I mean, to be clear, like, please don't go after these people. They don't need any more attention at this point. We don't need to get into more flame wars with them or whatever. But we are allowed to, to counter and to say what we think when we see this evidence. I don't think ED proves anything. And I love how people are making this like a big thing when it's like, we saw lists of medications that Johnny had throughout the trial. This is not new. If you're paying attention and if you know medications, you could tell very early on that there were ED medications prescribed to Johnny. But ED is not something that people should be ashamed of. And it's not something, I think it has a really terrible stigma around it. It affects more than 50% of men throughout their lifetime. And if you're honestly going to tell me that then is motivation to commit just monstrous acts, the implication that you're putting on men with ED is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, as a man, I can confirm that the mind is connected to that. Like, if you're out of it, if you're not having a good time or you're depressed or whatever, that can absolutely affect performance and everything else, right? So for me, when I hear this, I'm just like, whoa. If anything, like, it makes sense that he would have that because of all the fighting and the constant bickering, and why would he ever want to get it up when all he's doing is being miserable? So it's like, if the moment is all right, he can go back in. He's an older guy. It is what it is. Like, none of my damn business, first of all. But second of all, I'm going to defend him on this because there's no proof of it. It's not even like Amber saying, oh, well, it happened because he said this. This is literally a legal defense of, well, it makes it more probable because he was probably angry about that. That's why he grabbed it and did it. They're literally grasping at straws here, and this is proof of nothing. And it's also, to me, offensive just because it's so, like, personal. This is medical stuff, like, technically. Like, if this was against the way, if they did something like this to Amber, can you imagine? Oh, my God, Johnny, what an harassment. Can you believe he resorted to that? But when it's the other way around, no, it's fine. Anything's fair game. And I don't even understand. This isn't proof of anything. And I don't even want to give it any more attention because it offends me because it's like they're just grasping at nothing. And then they're using this as their top headline to be like, oh yeah, gross, JD with his ED, blah, 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 blah. So now that they're going against, he attempted to use revenge against, PORNN, probably going to lose monetization on this. So it is what it is. We'll go all in. Submitting her nudes into evidence along with information she briefly worked at a strip club before fame. What's really frustrating is Elaine kept this out. Elaine asked that this should be gone. This is Elaine. He's seeking to introduce. No, Elaine wanted this blocked. So again, they're using this as sort of like he didn't bring this up. This wasn't something on his evidence list. They're again trying to make this there. The sister and the other thing, like they lump in the sister's reality show. The sister's reality show has the sister admitting Amber hit her.
Yep.
Hugely relevant. Hugely relevant. And honestly, the nude pictures, some of that stuff, the dancing, I can understand. Maybe there's a connection if she's trying to, I don't know. Maybe there's a connection of like, well, she was sexual beyond me. Why are you trying? I don't know what the lawyer's reasoning were, but this idea that Johnny's doing it is very frustrating to me because that's not accurate and it's not the truth.
No,
they're trying to win this on lawyers submit everything. Amber did it too. And in this instance, as I recall, and I was talking to Laura earlier as we went through this thread together, this was something Elaine blocked and not something Johnny was requesting. But then they block it and then they say, oh, Johnny tried to do. No, you blocked it. You brought it up in the conversation, not Johnny. And they don't want to admit that. And then they go into he submitted manipulated photographs of the injuries with altered metadata. Also bullshit. This is total bullshit. I don't even understand, like, based off of what? Depp's photograph evidence the same issue. For example, declaration relies on photographs of supposed scratches and bruises caused by misheard. From what Laura was able to tell me, it was because these were photos that were not taken on his iPhone. Like they're other people's images, so therefore the metadata wasn't there. Or I don't know why, but they're not images of his own, especially this one. And so they're trying to claim something. It's not true. I don't see any proof of this as I've read it that proves this. And again, this is the lawyer saying so. We could go back on all the metadata that Amber refused to follow through due to court orders. The judge required her to do certain things, and she refused the whole way. And they never provided it. They refused to provide it, and Johnny was willing to pay for their own expert. Whatever needed to be done to make it fair, to get the metadata from Amber, she provided none of it. So you don't get to claim Johnny did that too, when really you did it worse, because the court required you to and you didn't follow. They don't want to talk about that. Johnny intentionally manipulated audio tapes of arguments between him and Amber and refused to provide any recordings that weren't edited or altered. Metadata also confirms they were manipulated. Look, again, I don't know which ones they're talking about. This was during the UK trial. I know that the full recordings came in. Modified June's before the day only produced the modified version. From the way Laura said it, there were things that Amber edited as well. So it's hard for me to understand what this even proves. And okay, if they were edited and we don't have something, then where's the rest? Amber has these tapes too, I imagine. What prove, even if they're edited, what proves that Johnny did what they say he did? Here's a sample of missing pieces of audio from the infamous Amber Heard tapes that were leaked by Johnny's team. The deleted portions are read. Now, who transcribed this?
Yeah, and from what?
What is this?
Where?
I'm sorry. This is not a legal document. This is an Amber Heard fan transcribing, doing exactly what they are accusing Brian and others of doing. So, sorry, not even going to waste my time reading this, because play me the audio. Play me the audio.
Where did that even come from?
No clue.
Where did it come from? I honestly want to know.
No clue. And some of this I do believe was there. But then again, okay, if you're gonna say I don't trust you, so play the tapes. Let's hear the tapes in question that you're debating, and then we'll happily play and play me the tapes that prove, Johnny did it. Is what I really want you to hear. Text message between Johnny and Marilyn Manson in which Manson calls his wife Amber 2.0 and asks Johnny for a place to stay so he can hide from the police. Again, what does this have to do with Johnny? What does this have to do with the accusations? How many tweets are we in now? What are they proving? Nothing. They've proven nothing. So here's the Mr. Depp also included text message. First of all, Mr. Depp didn't include anything. They got these text messages in a shady way. And I'm curious, Amber, where are your text messages? Oh, you want to keep cherry picking things Marilyn Manson said to Johnny? I'd love to know what Elon said to you, Amber. How about Cara Delevingne? How about James Franco? How about all the other countless boyfriends you had? Amber fans don't seem to care that we didn't get to check her countless text messages. Oh, but let's look through Marilyn Manson's replies to Johnny as if that proves anything. I got an Amber 2.0, and Lindsay just pulled an Amber on me. Please delete. To which responds, but I've been reading a lot of it. And what I love about these texts, which we'll go through, they confirm, Kim, everything we knew. I've been reading a lot of, this is Johnny saying, I've been reading a lot of material on that and sociopathic behavior. It's effing real, my brother. My ex, see you next Tuesday, is textbook. So here you got texts to Marilyn with him confirming, oh my God, I really am stuck in a relationship that's abusing me and I don't know what to do. And now it's textbook sociopathic behavior. It's only confirming everything we know. So I'm still confused and waiting for the gotcha. And then whatever, we'll go through Marilyn. I have the texts. We have them all. We'll go through them all. They're trying to make something out of nothing. I don't care about Marilyn Manson. This isn't about him. This is about Johnny Depp. No. And they keep wanting to use Marilyn Manson as a way to discredit him. And that's why the cases are different. And that's why I'm not just like, yeah, Marilyn's in this. I don't know. Some of it does. Marilyn's got some interesting cases. I'm down to hear him. I'm not condemning him. I'm not, until the case happens, it is what it is. But this is a complete tactic by Amber's team to try and sully the waters and make him seem like, see, he's as gross as Marilyn Manson, which is the problem with the Marilyn Manson case. Can he even get a fair trial? Probably not. Because they're all just going to say, oh, he's a monster. So here we go. All this great evidence. Johnny Depp fought to have expert testimony from a renowned psychiatrist denied, in which she concluded Amber was a victim of DA at the hands of Mr. Depp. Amber revealed to her during a session with Depp that he was abusing her and that she would fight him. Interesting, because you know what else we learned? The therapist was there. It was bullshit. But how about the fact that Dr. Anderson, who said the mutual abuse that they try to use all and over again, Elaine used it crazily. How about the fact that Amber got this denied? Does this not cancel each other out then? You're coming after Johnny saying things. How about the fact that the one that got them both, the one who was probably the most fair, right?
Yeah.
Literally said that the TRO by Amber was improper. Here you have the counselor who saw them both together admit. Dr. Anderson, who I just referred to, marriage counselor who saw Miss Heard never should have filed the TRO. They instructed her counsel, who again did nothing wrong, to redact out of her notes so completely that there's only a tiny little spot where the word violence is mentioned. Wildly inappropriate redactions. So we have got to take that before Judge Bowick, and we probably have to take that before you. Because they're citing some carve-out in her HIPAA waiver, but it is outrageous. They know that the marriage counselor's notes are devastating to Miss Heard because Miss Heard made all kinds of admissions that she was the perpetrator of violence, and Mr. Depp was the one who constantly retreated.
Yeah.
This is Ben Chu arguing for it. So anyway, all this thread in here. Just Laura's recap. After Lane stated on her WebEx call to an open court hearing that H would be claiming R, Ben Chu was questioned by Courthouse News. But in a prior hearing, Elaine admitted she expected there was press in the courtroom during the hearings. She knew hearings were sometimes open and falsely claimed later that they were always closed. Again, sneaky tactics that she always did. Oh, these were supposed to be under lock and key. But she did it during a hearing that was public, and she knew it was public. Mm-hmm. So, all right, but back keeping this fact of that Even the doctor said false. So, all right, great. Another nothing burger. Here we go. So Amber revealed during a session with Depp there was no session with Depp. There was no session with Depp. That's a lie. The only session she admitted this was when Depp wasn't there. We know that.
Yeah.
Statements of Miss Dr. Banks are reliable because in response to questions from Mr. Depp's counsel, Dr. Banks testified that Mr. told her she was by Mr. Depp in front of Mr. Depp without contradiction. When was this?
Great question. Great question.
Depp was involved in violence with her when he was using substances, particularly she would fight back. And those statements were made also in front of Mr. Depp without anybody contradicting them. So this was like during a hearing when he's probably not allowed to talk back. Like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
Dr. Amy Banks should be denied. A testimony of psychiatrist 20 asserted 4 occasions, 2 sessions with her, 1 with Depp. I just caught something in the Times. Okay, but again, I need more information on this. This doesn't prove to anything because the judge didn't accept it for a reason.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, well, because Chateau Bunny Cocaine Cross tells me it must be true. Johnny Depp attempted to use, but again, all this out of context because here's what's so scary about all this that you're reading now. The media just runs with this. Here are, talking points. Great. I got anti-Johnny Depp stuff that I can just run with because it must be true. It's on Twitter in a thread. Johnny Depp attempted to use Amber's suspended license as a teenager against her by implying she committed vehicle manslaughter because her childhood friend was killed in a car accident. Amber's license was actually suspended over speeding tickets. Oh my God, don't get me started on this case. Don't get me started on the mystery of this murder. I had a whole team of people in a room working on this one. This one is deep and this one's sketchy. And I got no comment because, and this is nonsense, it does seem to me, and I'm speculating because I don't want to get in trouble, it sure looks to me like something was covered up when she was a kid. Absolutely.
It's very much a where there's smoke, there's fire type looking situation, but we can't nail down anything specific, and that's part of the problem. But I can't imagine Johnny bringing this up if there wasn't something there. You know what I mean? Like, why would you even bring it up if there was nothing there?
I know there's more to this. Laura and others might know better. Chat may as well, but there's another thing against this. Laura said it too. I'm just forgetting now because there's so much I'm trying to remember and all this new stuff. There's more to this story. And I think it was Whitney said it was a boy and could sort of confirmed it. And so that's why they were asking before because they were like, wait, what? And yeah, that's relevant. I'm sorry. It's relevant. All of her previous arrests should be relevant. Excuse me. Johnny Depp hid evidence of his lawyer intimidating a witness into signing a pre-written declaration that she never saw any injuries on Amber. He threatened her with negative consequences and perjury. The witness testified she felt coerced. So Laura did fill me in on this one because I was like, I didn't know what this is. He basically was like, look, you gotta testify, or we're gonna send you a summons and make you do it. That was the threat. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get court order to come in and give us your take. Okay, so but apparently that was him threatening her with negative consequences.
Interesting. All right.
Johnny Depp blocked a declaration from his former agent, which stated his drunk and stoned behavior during the filming infuriated Disney executives that they vowed to no longer put up with him. I mean, I heard her say that on the stand.
Yeah.
What's new about this? This was all of this was heard. If you watch the trial, Cocaine Cross, you would know we've already heard this. Tracy was not happy with Johnny and said drinking didn't help the cause. That wasn't hidden from anybody.
Nope. And he didn't hide the issues that he was having during that time either, at all.
Yeah, and it also doesn't confirm that he did what they say he did to Amber. Mm-hmm. Just because he was fired from the movie doesn't mean... Now, they could argue that's why he was losing jobs, whatever. That's a separate issue, whatever. But doesn't confirm the abuse. Most damning piece of evidence that Johnny attempted to have sealed, his declaration to Amber did not cause him any specific physical or mental injury. Now, this has been getting a lot of headlines. He's saying here, Mr. Depp is not alleging harm based on a specific physical or mental injury. Miss Heard's motion fails to satisfy the controversy. Basically, the reason he's saying there's no harm is because he wasn't suing her for that. He was suing her for defamation. And so he could, if he had said, yeah, well, there's an injury, then they would have to do a whole bunch. It changes the whole case to something that was predated when he was allowed to do it. The time lapsed. He couldn't sue her for that because it wasn't enough time. You have a statute of limitations on some of these accusations, so he couldn't sue her for that. So they didn't want to get caught up in that distraction. So yeah, what was said by the lawyers was, we're not alleging harm. We're not doing that because there was no harm. Because they weren't suing her for that. They were suing her for defamation. So everyone's taking that out of context to make it seem like some big reveal. But I don't understand why they ignore the reveal of Amber saying, yeah, I hit him. No, I don't get it. Selective memory and choosing of what they want to believe. Johnny blocked testimony from his own expert witness that concluded Amber's photos of her injuries were not edited and had accurate metadata. Instead, he focused on two different colored versions of the same image to imply she faked them. Well, first of all, those are two different images. We watched the trial where they kept trying to argue, well, no, they could have been a second apart or whatever else. Those are color-corrected images implying there was work done on them. No, Kim?
We've beaten this to death. And
if anything, let's see. They've blocked out a lot here. Why isn't this redacted?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting how they're choosing to put some stuff under black, so it makes me wonder. But I know there was more on Neumeister too. They didn't. This is all bullshit too. Neumeister admitted that all metadata photos of perpetrated injuries that Mr. Heard identified do not indicate that the photos went through a photo editing application. Depp's counsel claimed for years Heard a doctor photo. Dude, she didn't give any of the metadata. Who's going to sit here and believe, knowing what we know, and the fact that she refused to follow the protocols that the judge ordered? And you're going to come at me, the photos weren't manipulated. I'm looking at two photos. Those are two. That's the same photo. One's manipulated, one's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to tell me. And honestly, there was some of Johnny, whatever. I don't know who's editing what photos, so I don't even care about the photos. Johnny's injuries, her injuries, those photos I like the audio because you can hear it actually happening. Thread explaining why those specific images of Amber appeared edited despite no data confirming they were. Neither Depp nor Heard hired a digital photography expert to testify. They hired digital file forensics. Yeah, because they want to check out the metadata. In my opinion, this was a mistake on Heard's part. I think they missed a critical piece of information. Oh, let's listen to this expert. They thought it was a mistake, so therefore this must be factual, Kim. I'm not wasting time on this. Who the hell are you? Let's hear one random person on Twitter's feelings on why it was a mistake to put the photos out. And not focus on the metadata photos. Cool, great. Johnny Depp sealed a portion of his testimony where he attempts to explain that drugs and alcohol have not affected his memory or cognitive abilities. Okay. So? He sealed something that explains that drug and alcohol have not affected his memory. Okay. Well, now it's unsealed, and he's saying it didn't affect his memory. What's the proof here?
I think it's just at the end that he just says, I think that it's so hard to read. It's like...
Yeah, some of it's hard.
Like squinting, man.
Welcome back, Andrea. We are debunking cocaine crosses evidence against Johnny because I feel like because they like to think we avoid all this. No. Let's call it all out directly because this is all bullshit. And we've gotten a point of apparently big getcha. Johnny Depp sealed a portion of his testimony where he attempts to explain that drugs and alcohol didn't affect his memory. Whoa! Oh no! Guys, close up the channel. We were wrong. Jesus. What is this?
This is some of that facts not in evidence stuff. It's where they mistake the accusation for the fact, which was a common theme throughout this thread.
So here we go. You can help us. Missing context. Johnny Depp had sealed about his disturbing texts with Paul Bettany, in which he fought with Amber over his drug binges. He would refer to her as a lesbian camp counselor for trying to keep him clean. More context of the text about which Johnny talks about burning. We've heard of. They didn't hide this.
Yeah, no, we know about these texts, and that's part of how you can see the spin that is being employed in this narrative, because Johnny didn't move to seal any of these things. That is ridiculous. Judge Karate sealed all of these things, she identified in her order unsealing, because these are the types of things that when you're getting close to the trial, that is potentially prejudicial. The potential jurors can walk into the Fairfax courthouse and look at the file just like any other member of the public can. So they're very cautious about disclosing this type of thing, particularly in a high profile case like this that gets a lot of public attention. And the entire purpose has been, let's not try this thing in the press. Let's make sure that the evidence gets its fair shake in court before all of these, other details and machinations and stuff are made public. So none of this is attributable to Johnny whatsoever. This is a factor of all of the motions in limine being sealed, including Amber's. So it's just a ridiculous spin.
In conclusion, yeah, this is what really happened, but the media's lying. No, I think it's the other way around, Cocaine Cross. But anyway, that was all the evidence. But no, it wasn't. Then they kept going. All right, we're not done. I love this one. Multi-millionaire Johnny Depp who owns an island. What does that have to do with anything? Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with anything? You are showing your bias and you're not being fair. Right out the gate in your line. You jealous? Like, what is this? He had evidence sealed of him being sued for various labor violations by his own employers. Again, who cares?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with the
frankly,
allegations?
Given how many employees that Johnny Depp has had over the years, I mean, the fact that you catch a complaint by a couple of payday seekers is not particularly surprising.
No, someone of his stature, I'm surprised it's not more.
And of course the irony here being Amber Heard's efforts to seal and exclude her own litigation history with the London Fields litigation. She didn't want that in. Mm-hmm. Certainly didn't look very good for her, did it?
No, it was with the Tasha, the girlfriend, right? That whole thing was also kept out. That she was arrested for. Is that London Fields?
No, the London Fields was the lawsuit by Nicola Six was the name of the production company. And so she had been sued by them for essentially breaching her contract, violating her duties to promote it, to basically work in good faith to get the movie out and get it shown and distributed and everything. There was a fairly extended period there where she used some of her same tricks that we kind of have seen throughout her different litigations, where she avoided her deposition, was sanctioned for it, appealed that up to the California Court of Appeal, was sanctioned again, ordered to sit for her deposition, and basically by the time it all got sent back down, the production company was out of money. They just went bankrupt and basically settled the suit. So she was able to outrun that particular bit of accountability. Wow.
Not to mention the fact that Tasha, her ex, she was arrested for abusing her. There's constantly another text.
Yeah, and they weren't allowed to bring that up. The best that they were able to do was they were able to bring in the officer who testified to what she saw, but she was not able to testify that she was a police officer. She committed the arrest. She found, probable cause to believe that the domestic violence had occurred. So those types of conclusions, precisely the type of thing that Amber Heard was trying to admit with respect to Johnny Depp. She clearly has such a comfort with double standards that it makes you wonder if she has any standards at all.
She doesn't. So then again, important as I was alluding, we didn't get to this text yet, but another unsealed text exchange between Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson, in which Manson offers him a new fan meet and greet girl, 18. Okay, so let's actually read this context, because actually, stupidly, they didn't even crop this out. My new fan meet, again, Johnny doesn't respond to any of this. That's what's also really weird. But my new fan meet looks like you need it. Trust me. I'll send a pic. 18 with you guys, Depp show with me. All right. So what does this mean? As I went back, Johnny's last response, I'm busy, or I don't know what this bus. I am bus.
I am bus.
Just going
I am
through
bus.
the border of U.S. Canada. I'll be in jail soon. Again, Laura, because they probably had weed or something on them. I'll be in jail soon. Love you, mother effer. What song should I play with you, and what song should you play with us? Canada, the worst. Sorry, Kim. And yeah, 18 with you guys, Depp show with me. He's responding to the Hollywood Vampire song, I'm 18, with Marilyn Manson.
Actually, it's an Alice Cooper cover or something like that too. It's like, this is a song.
So it's like,
This is a
again,
song,
they are
guys.
so bad at the research that here you have this damning thread. Dude, he's answering this question. What song should we play with? Should I play with you? He's saying 18 with you guys, and then Depp show, I guess the rest of the Depp show for him. He's clearly answering the question. It's not the
Depp
mean
Show
girl
is
is
another
18.
song. Depp
Yeah.
Show is it's
Depp
it's
Show's
actually
even
called
better.
Dope Show, I believe, but their inside joke is referring to it as Depp Show.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. The Depp show, because they're probably like, this is when Johnny takes over or something. There it is. So the idiots, like this is the gotcha exchange thread rather that's getting all these hits. Full text conversation. We have the full. We can go through them, but it's really there's nothing really interesting there. It's like if anything, it's sort of like Johnny ignores him a lot.
Yeah, it
I
reminds
love-
you of that piece of testimony when they were talking about giving him the pill to shut him up.
Yeah.
I may have given Marilyn Manson a pill to make him shut up.
Yeah, you get a vibe that Marilyn's, a talker and one of those like, yeah, it's up. How many?
Like,
I may need a house. Can I come to your house? Can I come to your house? It's like one of those friends that you're cool with. You're like, I'm just not going to respond to this text today.
Yeah.
Probably at the border looking at his phone like, Vance, I'm busy. Shut up. Let's just put his phone down. Like,
But yeah, it's not. There's not much. That doesn't prove anything out of Depp. They make some whatever jokes and maybe inappropriate whatever, but none of my business how these two friends talk in their private life. Johnny Depp has testimony from nurse Lisa Bean sealed, in which he testified to being told by Depp's full-time doctor, Dr. Kipper, that Depp had injured her. Now, I don't understand this one. Do you know about this one?
Well, so this is deposition testimony apparently from Lisa Bean, who was on the witness list. Why wasn't she called?
Yeah, this is weird
She
because
wasn't excluded. Nobody moved to exclude her. The problem, as you remember, I'm sure, from Dr. Kipper's deposition is he testified about Lisa Bean and how she had been not necessarily reliable, not necessarily appropriate in her relationships with clients and so forth. So all of this is undermined, of course, by the medical record that Monroe Tinker had created and that was introduced into evidence that showed there was no injuries of any kind during that medical examination. And also Dr. Kipper and Nurse Debbie Lloyd and Nurse Erin Borum testified that they didn't witness any injuries, with the exception of Nurse Borum, who said, "Yeah, I saw some blood on her lip that one time." So that was the sum of the medical evidence. If they thought Lisa Bean was going to be a great gotcha witness, they should have called her.
Yeah. Amen. And they didn't. And there was a lot of I just lost my hold on. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of witnesses they didn't call in. In fact, one of the things we talked about was the fact that, and I love your take on this, Andrew, now you're back. Welcome back. They would constantly wait till the 11th hour to have these witnesses come in, these key witnesses. And then you have Brown Rudnick constantly like, what's going on? And then they'd literally night of be like, sorry, like this is pretty shady. No, is this, what is the tactic here? Is this clearly them avoiding these witnesses coming in because they must not have felt as confident that they'd be as Team Amber as they were hoping?
Well, it's really hard to say. There's clearly some gamesmanship going on when it comes to just the lack of courtesies that are being exchanged by the parties. And in fact, one of these emails, I think it was Sam Moniz, calls that out specifically. He had been contacted by one of Amber Heard's lawyers asking about the deposition schedule for the following week. And Mr. Moniz says, oh, it's, you're asking for a courtesy that you haven't extended to us because we don't find out until the 11th hour whether you're intending for any of these depositions to go forward or not. So again, it's much more from my perspective an insight into the characters of these respective teams, the strategies that they employed, the courtesies or lack thereof that they displayed to each other. And that really gives you insight, I think, into who was really trying to win this thing on the merits and who was trying to win it through strategic ploys.
Yeah, well said. I mean, and so there's three more. I want to make sure we did the whole thread. I'm not skipping anything. Amber stands. Johnny Depp's medication history. Again, none of my damn friggin' business. And this is where we get this accusation of Cialis for the ED, and then they bring in Valtrex for herpes. I was talking to Laura about this too. Valtrex is also used for shingles and other things, which Amber
it's an
had.
antiviral. It's used for some things. In fact, I had heard of it, being used exploratorily for COVID stuff. I don't think that ever took off. But yeah, it's an antiviral.
Yeah, and because she brought up the shingles thing, which I thought was a good point, because Amber said she had shingles. Who knows what that came from? So again, here they are resorting to the lowest common denominator to try and slam Johnny in ways that just is disgusting to me. So you don't get to say that you're playing it fairly and better and nicely. You're doing it below the belt, Amber fans too, and this has nothing to do with it.
The thing too that for me, this really it increases my respect, frankly, for Johnny quite a bit, because you can see this for the intimidation type of tactic that it is. Amber Heard clearly was not going to hold back when it came to, if you're going to put me through this trial, I'm going to do my best to make it as embarrassing for you as possible. And Johnny Depp has known from day one and taken the position that, yeah, I'm not a saint, and the truth is going to come out. Never fear truth. He has fought from day one for this process to be public. And so the fact that he undoubtedly knew that these smears were going to be out there, I think it just reiterates the strength that he really needed to show to be able to get to the point that he did.
So we have two more transcripts from the full conversation with Johnny and Amber, in which she explains why she said, "I hit you" in the leaked recording. I don't get how this changes anything, and I've heard this. We've heard this audio. There's nothing new here.
Well, there is new stuff in this transcript, which is interesting, which isn't what she highlights. There's the part where Amber Heard admits that she knows Johnny didn't kick her on the Boston plane. They don't mention that particular bit.
I missed that one.
There's also additional information about this particular recording that we have heard before, about the door scraped her toes and then she kicked it into his head, that whole situation. That was preceded, according to this transcript, by Amber Heard basically freaking out, kicking Johnny Depp out of bed, out of the bedroom, and then slamming the bedroom door into his head as she was kicking him out. So it's just this ongoing course of violence, exactly what had been described by Johnny and by Travis and by Malcolm, where she would chase him and not let him get away. And so, the attempt to spin this particular transcript as somehow damaging to Johnny is really particularly ironic.
It's super weird, because we have this last one, but I'll come back. They make this whole allegation about the tapes being edited. The tapes all went in. I still don't understand what do you have any response to this one? And then they post some like Amber Stand's transcript of it all, which it's like, no thanks. But what is your reaction to sort of the missing pieces of the audio that Amber Stand's always put out there?
Well, I think I have to question whether any of these fan accounts have actually listened to the approximately 8 to 10 hours of audio recordings that were admitted as exhibits in the trial. It was by and large Amber Heard who admitted these small little snippets, these little 5 seconds here and 7 seconds there to just catch that one little thing that she wanted to get in without the entire context. And it was Johnny who would submit the entire 4.5 hour audio, the entire 2 hour audio, so that all of it would be laid bare, including often his own anger, frustration, just completely opposite approach in terms of trying to hide versus trying to disclose what was really going on.
Well said. It's true, because when you listen to the whole context of it in the time, you really just hear how just exhaustive it is, right? Exhausting and just never ending from her, just never letting go. It's really rough to hear some of those longer tapes, because you just really feel the pain of just how awful it was, the situation that she was constantly putting them in.
This transcript is another, just a classic example of that. Reading through the transcript, is you want to pull out your hair. It's just a constant jumping around. She's blaming Johnny Depp for, being upset about the fact that she called him names in Toronto. She's constantly revisiting these old fights and then saying, I don't want to fight about the old fights. It just must have been the most exhausting thing for him to have to deal with. And you really do get a flavor of that in this transcript.
And then the final thing, which is trying to get getting some headlines out there. Johnny has evidence sealed of Amber turning down $16 million in royalties she was entitled to in their marriage, despite lawyers insisting the money was rightfully hers. Couples never got a prenup, thus making her pirate's earnings during the marriage half hers. This is bullshit too, right? Because
this is particularly hilarious, because this is yet another unsigned document from Amber Heard that she is trying to present as though it is something that she did in fact sign, she did bind herself to. And look at the timing of this. August 6th of 2016. When was that? If you remember the time frame, that's back when she was trying to dodge her first deposition. The divorce had not settled at this point. She had to dodge her first deposition, go through that whole song and dance, get redeposed, finally managed to sit for it, and then shortly afterward is when the settlement was reached. So there was a lot going on in this time frame, and I just, from my perspective, had Amber Heard ever signed this acknowledgement that she was going to waive her interest in the back end, that would have been crystal clear, and she would have presented that. So the fact that she didn't, to me, indicates no, she never did. That is complete misconstruction of what the evidence shows.
But the media jumps on it, and the media jumped on it, and that's the thread. So that's why we're all in the wrong and why we're all crazy. According to this is what it is. No, it's clearly the other way around, and it's really scary how there are these facets online that, I'm sorry, I look at these numbers. Like, I was talking to Christina Pickles, like this fan base isn't as loud as they think it is. It's just not, and I think a lot of us are getting bent out of shape. My viewers, I'm talking about you. I think a lot of us are getting bent out of shape over something that's not real. When I look at these numbers, I just don't buy this engagement. I don't buy it. This is bought engagement. It has to be. I don't understand how that many people.
Look what's trending right next to it.
Yeah, Amber Heard is a monster. It was funny because it was Amber Heard is a monster and Amber Heard deserves an apology. We're like fighting neck and neck. And in both of them, if you go search, it's Johnny Depp fans, calling out, no, she doesn't deserve an apology. Why is this trending? That's the problem. So many of us are helping them get this out there. The deserves an apology or other, and it's I don't engage in any of them anymore, because even a joke tweet or calling it out tweet is engagement, and it's what they want, and it's how they manage to keep this going day after day. But when you see these numbers, Kim, I'll go to you. And this seems hard to believe. Like, can you believe there's 108,000 people that like this?
Yeah, no, I have difficulty with it. I think it's also interesting. I don't see a huge amount of legal representation on Amber's side. There's most of the lawyers that I know of that are talking about this, legal professionals, they're all siding with Johnny. I'd love to hear from a legal professional that sides with Amber, to hear their perspective, because I really haven't seen that. But it just kind of seems like you've got the Johnny side that's really, really working off of legal experts and documents and history and context and all of that. And then on Amber's side, not so much a lot of the time. I don't know, Andrew, would you agree with that? Like, you've probably seen more of it than I have.
Oh,
in all honesty.
absolutely. I mean, that was something that for me was such a joy with the streaming of this trial, since I had the background from the UK process. I knew what we were going to see, and to see all of these legal professionals were going to be coming in new to the case and forming their impressions. I couldn't wait to see that happen, because I knew they were going to go through the same type of process of discovery that I had gone through, and so many other folks who have been following this case for so long had gone through. And one after one after one after one, just watching the realization come to them that, you know, this case was not what the media had presented it to be. It's so difficult to deny. I mean, anybody who actually, again, did sit through the entire process, saw how these things were presented, saw what the weight of the evidence was, it's not a difficult conclusion to reach. 7 people in Virginia, randomly selected, clearly had no difficulty reaching this decision. So it's not surprising to me at all that by and large, the legal community feels the same. And when there are exceptions, for example, somebody like Dr. Proudman, it's because she apparently believes the evidence is irrelevant. It's not about the evidence in this case. You know, it's about the narrative.
Yeah, to
when
that
you
point
look
of
at the evidence, the outcome is pretty clear.
Absolutely. But to add that the legal thing, it's like, here's that Marlo Stern again, the guy who did the Daily Beast piece and is getting dragged for it. None of those people are legal experts. So no, I don't conflate actual legal experts with Twitter trolls. And then Rob over at Law and Numbers, like, you know, got involved. I'm more curious why you ran with the original story that reported 6,000 unsealed documents and that witnesses who actually testified were somehow prevented from doing so, including Dr. Hughes, first witness on the stand, saw the corrections, but why not check first? And then he just responds by showing him his Twitter bio. Like, oh, gotcha. And then he's like, I don't understand. What your point is. You could have scrolled further, notice I litigated Fairfax and was in the courtroom for the argument in the case. Oh, and gave honest analysis in the trial for both sides, which he did. He was one of them. I thought he did very fair coverage of it. And they're just idiots. Like, I just, like, what a troll. Like, this guy's a journalist, senior entertainment editor.
This guy is particularly embarrassing because he is a professor of journalism at Columbia University, and he could not fact check such a basic piece of information to be including in his article as whether these witnesses were excluded. It's just insane. It is such an indictment of the state of journalism as an institution.
Yeah, thank you for giving that. It is insane. It is insane. Columbia professor that he's out there and it's just weird. I can't. I mean, that's the big question, I guess, that we're asking. Like, and there's more we can go through, but why? I'm trying to wrap my head around why. And the only thing I can get, I'll go to you, Andrew, and then I'm going to go to Kim. Like, I feel like they really are trolling us to get the negative engagement. I can't come up with any other rationale, because it's not like we just went through the evidence against Johnny. Nothing there changes my mind or is a gotcha moment. We went through it all. I'm not afraid of any of it. I've done this multiple times, and I don't understand how these reporters can sit and go through, which they clearly aren't going to, even though I wish they would. I wish they could be here to hear the other side, to be good journalists, to get informed. Let me talk to the other side and hear what they say, because it'd be really interesting for me to see, like, how are you going to defend this? Like all the debunking we just did. Andrew, what do you think is, the Marlows, the Cats, all the Taylor Lorenzes, what do you think is, like, motivating this engagement online of them to support Amber and lie for her?
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head, Andy, and that was a very insightful comment that you made, that a lot of this likely is just intending to drive negative engagement from the people who do know what happened, and so can easily spot the misleading, the cherry picking, the distorting that is happening in these competing accounts. I think another piece of it too, quite frankly, is just that there is a massive threat, I suppose, perceived threat on the part of conventional journalism for folks who are working independently to bring this information to the public to be able to see for themselves. Journalism has become extremely lazy, and this is something I mentioned at the top as well, where they don't cover the story anymore. They cover the coverage. It's like it's easier as a journalist now to just sit in a bar and talk to each other about the things that you've read and then go write an article about that, rather than doing the actual hard research, hard work of maybe, I don't know, like Laura B did, go and spend 6 weeks of your life, take that time and spend it in the Virginia courthouse to see for yourself what is happening and report on that. We didn't see mainstream journalism there in that courthouse. We didn't see them covering this trial with the type of dedication and persistence that so many of these independent producers like you, like Laura B, like Tug, have been doing for an extended period of time. So in some extent, I think this is just a reaction to the recognition that they are losing influence and it is their own fault.
Kim, what do you think?
I echo a lot of that. It's I just think it's interesting that we've had a massive dump of information, so much to look through, so many stories that could be written, so much coming out in the limelight, and yet we're still focusing on a flame war in so much of the media. We're still focusing on that conversation when it's like, why can we not just focus on what is in front of us? Mm-hmm. And that's what this whole thing has been about from the very beginning, is focusing on what is actually here. And but I guess maybe it's just a better headline to have people angry at each other and screaming at each other than actually getting to the bottom of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I think after a while, it just gets very tiring, gets very frustrating. And this is part of why I think this movement even became a thing in the first place, because like, as I said, people wanted to know what was really going on, and they had enough. And it was one of those situations where everything was out there for people to see, and they did, and people learned. And this is why we're all together, because we all wanted to learn about this and actually learn what was really going on.
Well said.
Yeah, well said, both of you. And I'm trying to figure it out. Like, here's Marlo. Depp stands go to smear for journalists. You're getting paid by Amber Heard. That's whoever. If you're watching me, don't throw that one at him, because that is a stupid reason.
Dumb.
You're making us look dumb. Can you stop harassing these journalists with idiotic bad takes? Because that's a bad take, and he's right. That makes no sense. Where can she afford this? It's like, it doesn't make sense. And if she's going to pay anybody right now, it's going to be paying the PR team. Any money she has extra would be, I think, to pay a PR firm. Now, the PR firm could be going out to friendlies and trying to get the word out there. I do believe that's possible. But don't give them money. A reason to make us look dumb, because I agree with him. That's dumb. He's now saying 90% of the Depp Stan accounts have been created in April to July. I don't believe that either. That doesn't make sense to me. Also, how dare you call us rabid Johnny Depp fans all weekend? I hope someone kills you and your family. Like, please don't do that either. That's idiotic.
Not okay, guys. No.
Now, to be clear, Laura shared one the other day. She had one back right at her, telling her to unalive herself. There's toxic sides everywhere. I don't endorse any of it, and it's insane. But it's frustrating because this guy who's offered to be here, he's missing. I would love for someone to actually smart, who knows the case, to talk to him, because I think he'd look like a moron. He'd really be exposed for an uneducated person on this case, and that's the issue here. So to give him this ammo of, oh, the Depp stands are crazy, dumb, haha, whatever, allows him to keep reporting ignorantly. We all got to be better than that. But I will say I really like this retweet. I was looking at that. Really should. He didn't say this, but still, that really should be in a museum. Kirsten Stewart in Twilight, and then in the Princess Di. Can you imagine sitting on an airplane and watching two people watching this together? I was like, wow, that is an amazing picture. See, I can agree. See, Marlo, I'm sure we have some agreements. Come on the show. Don't be so afraid. I agree. This is a very funny image. Yeah, I can't figure out any other reason than exactly what you all said. They're threatened. I think they want our hate clicks. We got to stop clicking on it. We do it from time to time to expose, to keep everything honest. But I'd rather you watch one of us click it for you. So 6,500 people can all read it at the same time instead of 6,500 clicks, which is what they're banking on. So let's all try to be better on this and not keep flaming. I could go through so many of her tweets over the weekend. Kim, I shouldn't, right? We should move on.
No, let it go.
Do you have any final reactions, Andrea?
This is just an illustration of what we've been saying, where instead of doing real journalism, she writes about Twitter, and Twitter, and then, for all of its virtues, is what, like 5% of the planet. I mean, it's just
but look at this engagement. It can't be real.
Let it go.
And then she's like comparing us to flat earthers.
The irony. The irony.
The irony of her. Dude, Kat, you are the flat earther here. I promise. I promise it's you. I don't even know what to say. You just are ignoring the evidence, just like people like flat earthers. And again, I feel like she knows what she's doing in a way. Maybe she's more of a sick genius than I'm giving her credit for, just to unravel of us all.
No.
Kim's like, no.
No, just. I am a big believer of not giving people the attention that they so desperately want. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what we're looking at right now.
Well, there you go. What an amazing show. I want to thank my awesome guests. We had Andrea Burkhart and Christina Pichels on, who are both amazing. Please go support them. As well as It's Kim. Look her up, one word, on YouTube, or check out her link tree. Go show her some love. And thank you guys for watching. If you missed the full 3-hour and 20-minute replay, we had so much interesting insight. Make sure you go hit that join button if you haven't already. You can always become a member, pick a tier, and then always watch the replays at your leisure whenever you want. It's a perk of becoming a Planeteer. All my Planeteers, I love you. Thank you for supporting. Stay tuned all the week. It's going to be a little bit all over the place just because I'm moving this week, setting up the new studio. We got lots to happen. So thanks to everybody who supported and stepped up. You guys are amazing. Please also make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Double check it because I'm trying to get past the devil's number of 666. We'll get there soon, I hope. Hopefully by tomorrow. Maybe it keeps going up. We passed it, and then it went back, and then we're close again. YouTube system is so weird. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks again, Kim. Thanks again, Steph, Lewis, everybody who helped last week. We're back. We'll be back here on tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, which is Andy time, which is like between 12 and 1. Appreciate you guys. Head on over to Nerd Report. We're rating him next. If you're watching live, it'll redirect. If you're not, go check it out. Or click on these videos if they're there. Appreciate you guys so much. Enjoy.